Welcome to the What's Your Weird Story podcast.
Everyone has at least one good story.
And some of us have stories that are just to the left of normal.
We're interested in the ones that push the boundaries of what we can perceive.
Stories that defy explanations.
Stories with an air of mystery.
Stories we might not share
for fear of being thought of differently.
But don't worry, we're all friends here. So, what's your weird story? Hello, Weirdsville. How is everybody doing? We are here. That is we being Mr. Barry Johnston over there.
Yo.
And this part of we is Adam Beebe. We are your regular host here on the What's Your Weird Story podcast, your weekly podcast on weirdness and high strangeness and weird stories, true stories that have happened to normal people. Maybe sometimes they're weird people, but people that populate our Weirdsville town here, community. It's not really a town, it's a community, because you can have a community without having a town. But here we are at the end of 2020, this year that has been so very interesting, shall we say.
Yeah. I think that's putting it lightly.
Yeah. So before we get into the theme of this episode, Barry, how was your Christmas?
Oh, it was good.
Christmas 2020.
It was good. It was probably the best thing about this year. Nice to wrap it up in a good positive way. We had the in-laws came down, and it was good, fun had by all. I cooked some nice meals, and we had good family time, and played some games, and opened some gifts, and just enjoyed each other's company. It was nice, man. So
that's nice.
Yeah. How about you, man? How are things with you? I know you weren't able to travel, so. Yeah,
I was very low key this year. It was just me and my cats. But I talked to the family and some friends and all that, and it was all right. I mean, again, it was definitely weird and unusual, but it was okay. It was the first time that I've actually spent Christmas Eve and Christmas morning with my cats, because usually I'm visiting family, and the cats don't travel with me. They don't travel well, and they're kind of crazy cats, so they you wouldn't want to bring them into somebody else's house.
Yeah.
But it was kind of neat, that I was able to. They weren't really impressed or anything. They got a few gifts. I didn't really get much, but I got a few things,
right,
which was really cool. But yeah, so it's just kind of a relaxing day, and
good.
Nothing extraordinary, but just kind of a nice casual day. So
it's been
good. It was good.
Good. It's been such a weird year in that way, because you can't really plan anything, and we've been having a rough go of it, because my kids are both in I've got 3 kids, 2 of them are in high school. And it's tough because with sports and activities, you plan to do one thing and then it changes abruptly. And things like this with family, get-togethers. My sister had contacted me, and they came down with COVID in their household, and so we were supposed to get together, and of course weren't able to. And it's tough, because you want to spend time with the ones that you love at this time of year, but then you have all these other issues, and we've got to be mindful of one another, and not try to cause harm as far as health goes. And so it's been tough. And so it's kind of I hope that we're able to get over this for this next year, for 2021, and we can move on into smoother waters, as it were. So, but yeah, so just trying to end that year and get on to something a bit more fun, exciting, positive. And I think that we're doing that with the podcast that we've put together for folks.
Yeah, so what we're doing on this episode to wrap up the year, and also for on next week's episode, besides me learning how to talk properly, what we're doing is we found a smattering of interesting and weird news stories from 2020, and that we decided to share with you guys, and we'll discuss them a little bit. And we've got our resident weirdo and friend Bobby's going to be popping up for part of it, and we hoped that our special correspondent, resident Bigfoot expert, and voice of the listener, Mr. Jeff Hubbard, was going to be able to pop up and share some stories with us. But he read us those stories, beautiful stories, last week for Christmas, and he is now he's working hard on making law there in Oklahoma. So we didn't have the whole crew, but we got a good portion of us there. But we've got all sorts of interesting stories from all over the year, and a lot of it was space-based, and a lot of it was here at the end of the year, because, man, there's been interesting things happening.
Yeah.
But we can guarantee you no stories about COVID, because I think we've heard plenty about that.
Yes.
And, of course, we did our monolith special a couple of weeks ago, which that was going to be a small portion of these episodes, but that thing it grew big and went viral and out of control, and so we did that special on it. So if you're looking for monolith news, go back a couple of weeks, listen to that episode.
That's right.
But for now, let's buckle in. Let's or unbuckle if you've had a big holiday style dinner, post Christmas, pre-New Year's dinner here, or just chill, relax, have a good time, gather around the campfire, or if you're driving and listening to this, pay attention to the road, and don't text and drive. Don't drink and drive. Be a mindful driver, but also enjoy our soothing masculine voices here on the What's Your Weird Story podcast.
That's right.
Strap yourself down. Wait, maybe that's not the right. Open up your ear holes. I always start stumbling right around this part, and it always comes out
sexual or weird. Yeah.
Well, potentially, but then anyway, hey, listen up, listen down, listen sideways. But here is insert sound effect there, Barry. Here is it's not all of the weird news. Here's some of the weird news in our 2020 Weird News Roundup. Part 1. Do we ask ourselves, what's our weird story? Here's our weird story. No, wait. 2020, what's your weird story?
This is from Reuters from September, and it's the title of it is Investigators Launched Over 150 Probes into French Horse Mutilations Killing Spate. Investigators have opened more than 150 probes into a spate of killings and mutilations of horses across France. Agriculture Minister Julien de Normandie said on Wednesday. I have fears and concerns of the disarray of the horse owners. A toll-free number is being available for people that I guess that they own the horses. They can freaking call if you have a mutilated horse. Horses have been found with ears cut off, eyes gouged out, genitals mutilated. Police say that they have no idea why. Theories include satanic rite, macabre, trophy hunt, or internet challenge. Huh.
Not a lick about the real culprit, as we know. UFOs.
That's right.
Aliens.
That's right. Yeah, that's another thing. I had never even heard this story before seeing it. 150. Huh. Well, we back when we were growing up, there was a bunch of stories about cattle mutilations.
Mm-hmm.
and how precise that they were. You know, in these stories, quote unquote stories that you'd hear, it would always be about how like precise the cutting was.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, you know, someone with a very skilled hand would have to have done, you know, and some of them like skinned the animals and stuff like that. And it was real wild. And so that's kind of what this reminds me a bit of. And that's crazy, man.
Yeah, the whole cattle mutilation things, you know, that was started, I think, I want to say that was in the 70s is whenever it first started, but 70s and 80s out west is where it was big time scene, you know, and there, again, there was a lot of it where they were saying that, you know, some kind of a satanic cult, because everything was, you know, blamed on the satanic back then.
Right.
But a lot of it was also people saying this is straight up, you know, there were UFOs sighted in the area at the time, and they're known for these areas, you know, for being, you know, UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon,
right,
as we now call them. You know, I mean, to me, if an alien species was coming to Earth and they were going to, I would think they would, you know, maybe they couldn't. I would think they would want to kidnap an alien, or, you know, I mean, not an alien, an animal,
right.
Yeah, but maybe they can't fit the whole cow, you know, so they need to take the parts,
right?
You know, and because I mean, I remember, you know, there's always, it's like, you know, the heart was removed, or the eyes, you know, the genitals, and sometimes they've been like cored out, you know, like from the from the butt back into them. So So that's what this story reminds me of, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and it is a strange thing, and it could be, I don't know what internet challenge it would be. I don't know if there's a dark web version of TikTok where people are going out and hacking up cows or horses for it. But I hope I also didn't just give that idea to a bunch of people. But,
well, either way, it's bizarre. It's weird shit.
It is bizarre.
I'd be curious to know, like, if they know how they were killed. You know what I mean? Because, like, you got to think, trying to herd a horse or you know, try to get a cow, even, you know, to kill one. You know, it's either gonna have to be a gunshot, or you have to be super skilled with a rope, and I can't see how you would do that. Oftentimes at nighttime. I know that a lot of those, they would say that those cattle mutilations would happen at night. I don't see how you could do that, but certainly interesting.
It would take someone with skills and technology beyond that.
Yes.
Of what we currently have.
Yes, it would.
Just saying.
Well, keeping on the UFO tip, I got another Reuters piece here from June, and the title of it is "Balloon-like Object in Japanese Sky Sets Twitter Afire with Talk of UFOs. Godzilla." Wow. And then it shows you, that's wild. It looks like a satellite almost, sort of, but weirdly, like, it's not real clear. It's got
it looks like
it's got wings.
It looks like there's a balloon.
Yeah.
That is linked to a kind of like a cross or X-shaped satellite.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's all made out of clouds.
It's weird.
It is very strange.
Weird. It says the appearance of the mysterious white object in the sky over northern Japan on Wednesday set social media ablaze with speculation ranging from UFOs to coronavirus and North Korean propaganda. That's wild looking, man.
Yeah, and again, they don't want to say it's a UFO,
right? Yeah,
it could be a UFO.
Yeah. It says by afternoon, it was the third most trending topic on Japanese Twitter. Wow. With theories including UFOs and Korean balloons used to drop leaflets, which is kind of funny.
Cool. Well, hey, I've got another one from Japan. This is from November.
Okay.
Also from Reuters. Japanese town deploys monster wolf, quote unquote, robots to deter wild bears.
Wow.
There's a town in Japan that has basically created, instead of scarecrows, they have created these really scary looking robot monster wolf creatures to scare off bears,
Sure.
Because I guess so they're not mobile. They're not like those dog robots you see often on YouTube videos or whatever that are really kind of scary. They're just kind of more like a really scary thing you would see at like a Chuck E. Cheese or animatronic thing like at Disney World or something like that.
Sure.
But
so, maybe somebody's got a what is the what's the fetish where you dress up in the costume? Furry.
Oh, the cosplay.
The cosplay.
Yeah. Or furry cosplay. Yeah, furry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be that. It's got a lot of big into that stuff. But the town of Takikawa, I think I'm saying that correctly.
Okay.
Takikawa on the northern island of Hokkaido, which I also believe I'm saying correctly, but forgive me if I'm not. They installed a pair of these robots to after they found a couple of bears roaming in neighborhoods in September.
Wow.
And city officials have said that there have been no bear encounters since the installment of these monster robots.
Interesting.
So like I said, they are these kind of animatronic things. They've got these like shaggy bodies, and they got 4 legs. They've got they're described as having a blonde mane and fierce glowing red eyes, and you can see the red eyes, and you can just imagine walking up on that at night.
Oh man,
with glowing red eyes, and so they're activated. They're motion activated. And the eyes, the head moves, like animatronic, the eyes flash, and it emits 60 different sounds ranging from a wolfish howl to machinery noise.
Oh, wow.
So, so apparently this is not exactly new, but it's new for us to hear about, because apparently there's been the people who make it had sold about 70 units of the robot since 2018.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Leave it to Japan to think outside the box. We wouldn't do that here.
Yeah.
We would try to at least mimic an animal that we know lives,
Right.
That's wild. It's really
cool.
Awesome. It is really cool.
Yeah, you'll have to go online, and we'll try to post a picture if we can, but go online and take a look at those images because they are wild.
Yeah. I've got from the Mirror,
which is a very reputable British newspaper. Reputable.
Loch Ness, let's see, when is this? This was an April article. Loch Ness Monster Watcher catches mysterious shape emerging from water on camera. It said he recorded the sighting on January 18th, so it must have been just a couple of months delay before it really started to get out, I guess, man. But it's like,
well, probably wanted to sit on it for a while,
right.
Process that information.
I'm looking at it, and
let me see if I can find that as well.
Yeah,
there we go.
It's hard to tell the pictures. The pictures are being taken from a video. It looks like.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm trying to find the video. There's the video. Let's take a look. See here. So you see this. It's kind of this hill that overlooks the lake, and you see sort of a white cap or something emerge, and then sort of disappear. That's very difficult to tell what the hell is going on. So we've talked a little bit about Loch Ness before. We've had a couple of episodes here and there that we've had that we spoke with the Lake Champlain expert.
Yeah, our buddy Scott.
And so we've always sort of had these types of stories in the back of our mind. Loch Ness, what is it about? Are these things that we have been passed down from generation to generation? Are they real? Are they not? And, there's been people out there trying to debunk these things. They have the sonars, and they drag the lakes, and they try to make, a case for what exactly these things are. As far as I'm concerned, as long as there's water, there's always going to be tales of monsters that we can't necessarily find. We talked before too, about the the kraken, that these large squid that we found that nobody even really. I mean, we knew they existed only because we would get a tentacle or something washed up, a piece that we'd see washed up on the shore, but we, it's like, well, we can't see them, so do they really exist?
We had. Whales would sometimes show up with these massive sucker marks and scars from those giant squid, and beaks would be found inside the whale's guts because they would eat them, but we never found a full-bodied one.
Right.
Until, fairly recently. So
yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video too, and you'll see that there is this in the lake, it's calm, and then something peaks and it moves across, and then it goes back under.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And according to this article here, the guy is he's an Irish hospital clerk, and he is he says saw Nessie 4 times last year. And that he would thought that I guess it had been 3 months that he had seen anything, and then it popped up. So,
well, it's cool. I mean, it's just another piece of evidence, that I mean, it's hard to tell. It's not a crisp film, and the pictures aren't crisp. But what are you going to do? It's it's weird nonetheless.
Yeah. And you remember last year where they came out to say that they believed that if there was anything there, it would be a giant eel or something.
Right. Well, I saw they did a one about a shark. It's like a freshwater shark that they also thought it could be.
Yeah.
Or like a sturgeon. A lot of things
yeah, exactly.
Sturgeon. But who knows? I mean, that's one of the, that's why we like the mysteries,
Yeah. Yeah. The first reported sighting of Nessie. Any idea when that happened?
Golly, dude. I'm gonna say it was back. Fuck, man. I'd say I'm gonna go Middle Ages.
565 AD.
Holy shit! Really?
But the Irish missionary Saint Columba. In the River Ness.
Wow.
We're seeing this this creature. And if I recall correctly, he was, there, this Irish missionary was there and trying, spreading his beliefs. And he saw this monster, rise out of the Ness River, I guess, and he rebuked it. you know, in the name of Jesus, go away or whatever. And, you know, and then it, you know, went away. So, which is awesome. You know, good. That's good propaganda for the Lord.
Good publicity for Jesus. Yeah.
Right. You know?
Wow, man. No, I didn't realize. I knew it was old. I didn't realize it was that old. Isn't that amazing? How these things, they keep sort of hanging around. So there's got to be something to it, even if it's an anomaly of some sort. You know, like if maybe there's a current or something that, you know, creates these waves or something. I don't know. But it's captured the human imagination for over 1,500 years. That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. It makes you think about, you know, how we look at things in the current times. You know, like if you go back and you look at like Native American cave drawings of like, you know, these odd things that are in the sky, you know, and then you fast forward to kind of where we are now, and now, you know, we have these depictions of these creatures and maybe a little bit more of an idea of what the craft is actually shaped like and those things. It's just interesting stuff, man. And you see some depictions in some cultures of like angels and things like that. It makes you think that maybe what they saw, you know, maybe the Egyptians, you know, what they saw were, you know, craft that, you know, they couldn't explain. Imagine having to try to put that down into words or art.
Well, a good example of this is a plausible example would be how in China, ancient China, there was the belief in dragons, and they have all these dragons depicted in the art and everything. They were very real to them, and it's possible, and this has been speculated in recent years, that the origin of these dragons were skeletons of dinosaurs found in like the Gobi Desert and places like that.
Wow.
And so you would find these, you know, these super long, you know, like backbones and everything, and the heads and everything. And of course you would just say, well, you know what, something that, you know, dead looks like. And it was, so they would kind of like, they made it, you know, into the dragons.
Right.
And so, you know, and that's an explanation.
Sure.
Is it true? You know, we don't know 100%, but that is a very plausible explanation.
Well, and it's not even that big of a leap to make. Dinosaurs were some strange creatures, man.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know,
and when you have things that are out of context that you don't know, you will do. The human brain wants to do certain things with them. So it's like they found like another explanation or a lot of like the ancient for like in the Mediterranean and particularly the Greek stories, the creatures from the Greek stories are thought to have also come from ancient fossilized bones, where, you know, you have this head that's got this kind of gap in the center of the forehead that was from like like I think some kind of a ancient elephant or something like that.
Right.
I was said alien, could have been, but you know, so like you had this with the jaw and the, you know, this one eye socket area, because we know the human skull, we know what it looks like, so we extrapolate, you know, well, this big hole means they had one big eye,
right?
Therefore, this is the Cyclops of legend,
right?
You know, and then there's all these other weird kind of, you know, structures of bone structures. So these are these other kind of creatures of legend,
right?
You know, where they could have been these prehistoric creatures, you know,
right?
And again, that's a modern science applied to explain, you know, ancient legend and ancient lore.
Sure,
could be right, but we don't know for sure.
Sure. Well, if you at nighttime you're looking into the heavens and you're seeing this majestic, because there's no light pollution way back in the day, or not much light pollution, and you're trying to put together your physical world with what you're seeing out there, And then you've got, especially, peoples back then had such everything was spiritual. You know what I mean? There was a connotation for your actions and, the gods and their feelings about your actions and how, what you do, what you put out in your life will be either rewarded or you'll be, cast out by the gods and all these things, man. It's like, it really, it's one of the things about the human story that is one of the more fascinating parts of us is that we have this drive to understand where we came from. And even if it means fabricating these ideas and these things, you can understand why they did that. They didn't have the abilities. Now I will say that I think that they had abilities that we've kind of squelched over time also. Maybe they were a little bit more connected to things than we are now, in a modern society where we can just get in our cars or, get in our house and turn on the air conditioner.
I mean, because technology doesn't necessarily equal intelligence. I think we can look at that. I think we can look at our modern society and see that there's a lot of people who are, people that are not as educated because they just rely on technology.
Right.
You don't have to know anything anymore. You can just Google it.
That's right.
And
then you're kind of at the whim of the people that are telling you this stuff.
Exactly. I saw a report how like 38 or 48% of all the Zoomers, the Generation Z, your kids, generation, all that, don't know anything, can't name one single Holocaust camp, concentration camp from the Holocaust. They don't know anything about it. That's very bad.
It's dangerous.
We need to know
that's dangerous.
About that because we, the old adage, those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. So.
100%.
So
100%. And that is one of those things that we enjoy talking about here. And history and how it has influenced modern society and kind of now our take on where we're going and things with aliens. And it's just cool stuff, man. Really cool stuff.
Were you trying to remember how we got off on this tangent?
I can't even. I'm not even going to try, dude.
Good old Loch Ness, man.
Yeah, old Nessie. Absolutely.
So, all right, so I've got this is a funny, weird story that I can kind of, in a way, relate to. This is back from May. It's also from Reuters, and it is 5-year-old stopped on U.S. highway because he wanted to go to California to buy a Lamborghini. So this was in Utah.
That's great.
A Utah Highway Patrol officer thought he was pulling somebody over for being a suspected impaired driver. And as it turns out, the driver was not impaired. The driver was 5.
Wow.
And
how could he reach the pedals, man?
Yeah, exactly, dude. But so he saw the car was driving slowly and it was kind of weaving in the left lane on Interstate 15 on the highway.
Okay.
And the trooper turned on his siren and the driver just neatly pulled over to the side of the road, knew exactly what to do.
Wow. And
so he goes to the check on the driver, and it's this 5-year-old kid.
Wow.
And the boy's not identified, but he's like, what are you doing? And he said he decided to take the car to go to California and buy a Lamborghini.
Wow.
And, but he only had $3 in his wallet.
That's hilarious. Oh man. God dang, he's lucky that nothing bad happened, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Extremely.
But I mean, isn't that how a kid thinks? Like, I'll just get in the car. I'll just go to California and buy a Lamborghini with $3.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, and that's of course where you would go to buy a Lambo.
Yeah,
it's California,
of course.
right?
Of course, he had it right, man.
Makes sense. And it looks here. So I'm looking at the footage here.
Okay.
You can find it online.
Okay.
And this kid he's kind of not staying in his lane, that's for sure. But he's not terrible. And so he pulls over to the left shoulder. The cop gets out, opens the door, and it's like, "Are you okay?" And then he finds out the kid's age, and like this is it's not like he's driving like a little micro car or anything like that. This is like an SUV.
Wow.
Like a medium-sized SUV, man. That's really, or maybe it's a minivan even, but that's impressive.
I'm trying to pull it up here so I can see what it is here. Let's see.
I can send you the link if you like.
I think
you got it.
I think I got it. Yeah. Of course, you got the YouTube 15-second freaking advertisement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think he was arrested. I don't know what the follow-up was. You would imagine that somehow the parents might get a little bit of trouble.
Wow.
Dude,
he's going fast. He's going fast, man. Yeah, he is all over the place. Oh, and he pulled over into the left. He pulled over to the median in the middle and the center. Wow.
Yeah. But still, he pulled over.
I know.
He knew what he was doing. So
he was going fast, man.
Yeah. This kid is obviously very smart.
Yeah.
And observant because he's learned to, drive, and he's learned how to, what to do when you see a flashing light. So I'm guessing that one of his parents probably been pulled over two or three times.
Yeah. I mean, he knows what the brakes are. I mean, wow.
Yep.
That's impressive. He even used his blink.
Yeah, so that was...
oh, wait, no, okay. Okay. This is the wrong one. That was the guy tailing him. I thought, he used his blinker. Wow.
Man.
That's wild. Hey, he's adventurous, man. He's definitely... he's up for it, right?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you another story of adventure, and this one doesn't have as happy of an ending, but this is from February, and it is from Los Angeles. This is also from Reuters. A lot of good stuff there on Reuters. But the Daredevil Mad Mike, quote unquote, Hughes, dies in crash of homemade rocket in California. This is not the Mike Hughes that we knew in high school. This is a different guy.
Is this the Flat Earth guy?
This is indeed the Flat Earth guy. So Mike Hughes was a self-styled explorer, daredevil, and flat earther. And he was going to prove that the Earth was flat. And so he constructed a rocket, and he took it out to the California desert, and it was a steam-powered rocket.
Okay.
I don't know how well that would work, but I guess it didn't, unfortunately, for Mike. But yeah, it's...
I'm looking at it.
Apparently,
I'm looking at it right now.
Apparently, there was a Science Channel crew out there. They were going to record this and, make a TV show about, homemade rocketry, which honestly is probably not the best idea.
Probably not.
Putting this kind of, stuff. Because, look, it takes a lot to, launch a rocket, a lot of people to do that successfully and to bring it back down. This just shows you, but...
so, might I ask, what exactly was he trying to prove?
Well, he was trying to...
Was he trying to get high enough to see the Earth, or...
Yeah. Basically, that's what the intent was for him to launch so that he could see that there was no curvature, I guess.
Okay.
Well, he wanted to prove... He was trying to prove the Earth was flat, and... he wanted to launch himself past the Kármán that's with the K line, the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space. So he built this rocket.
God.
He apparently gained fame in 2002 when he jumped a Lincoln Town Car stretch limousine 103 feet on a speedway in California, and he set the Guinness record for the world's longest limousine ramp jump.
Well, I mean, I guess that would maybe get your juices going to build a rocket. I don't know, but it's like I like David Blaine. He just did the balloons. Did you see that? His balloon feat.
Man, I've stopped paying attention to that guy years ago.
Okay, so he took it's pretty cool, man. He took a bunch of helium-filled balloons, and he went up to 20,000 feet, 25,000 feet, and then, of course, let go and parachuted down. But to do that, he had a humongous crew of people, dude, helping him out. And spent an ungodly amount of money, I'm sure, to make sure that everything went right. So the fact that this dude here thinks that he's going to build a rocket, and God rest his soul, he should have just bought a freaking airline ticket overseas, dude. Get up to 30,000 feet and take a look.
Well, that's... I mean, that's applying logic, a certain logic, we'll say, at least.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want to speak ill of the dead, but of course he was trying to prove the Earth was flat. So,
I mean, it's a matter of time, right? I mean,
but so like he constructed this steam powered rocket on his own. He made it himself. I'm sure he had people out there to as a crew or whatever, but it wasn't like a sophisticated crew.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm looking at it right now. I mean, his launching pad is literally, it looks like it's the back of like an ice cream truck or some sort of small truck that he's got this thing strapped to, man. And he goes up, I think they said 1,875 feet, and just the engine gives out on him.
Yeah. Well, according to this, so they believe that he was knocked unconscious during takeoff. And then according to someone who was there, a freelance journalist who was there filming Justin Chapman, the parachute ripped off at launch. So the rocket went straight up in an arc and then came straight down.
Right. I see the parachute. So. It's hard to tell because it's so far away. But yeah, I mean, and then, you got people like this trying to do this kind of stuff, and it's like, I think you start playing with your life, and unfortunately, this guy didn't see the ramifications of trying to do what he was doing, man. So, sad.
Yeah. Yep. So he was, and he was a daredevil. So this is the kind of it. I'm sure that this would be the ending that he would want, although not exactly, because were he conscious enough to see that the curvature of the Earth, and had he survived, he would have known that he was wrong.
Now maybe I'm looking at a different piece of footage, man, but he's awake when they get him out.
You must be, because he was...
Okay, I think I must be looking... I think this must have been his earlier flight, possibly. Yeah, I bet it was. Wow, man. That's crazy. I mean, as much as I'd love to... one of my dreams is to be... to go into outer space. And I've actually thought about there for a while. There was somebody talking about how you'd be able to cremate your ashes and they would send you up in a rocket ship or something like that. Mm-hmm. I would like to do that. I think a part of me, you can
also get sent up in a balloon.
Is that right?
Yeah. You can get sent up in a balloon. I don't know how. I mean, and like released into the atmosphere, I guess.
Oh, wow. That'd be badass, dude.
So.
Right. Cool, man. That's great. I mean, not for him, for him so much, but, for us, because it gives us
not for him.
Content.
Doesn't really give much credential to the flat earthers.
Right.
Maybe they think that it's a conspiracy that, he was knocked down by some, science gun.
Right.
And not faulty engineering on his part.
Right.
For being a daredevil and not a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Steam power does not seem like a 2020 solution to launching a rocket.
No,
it seems like it was a maybe 1820 solution to launching a rocket.
Right. Yeah. But, I was going to say, Stanley Steamer.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. Right.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Steam can make a lot of power and can push, but I just don't see how. I guess it's cheaper than rocket fuel and a rocket engine, and something that's like that. But
yeah, well, what gets me too is
R.I.P. Mad Mike.
Right, he didn't even have a real suit on to get up in there. That's what's weird. But anyway, yeah, clearly not well thought through.
Hi, this is Danielle
and Gina
from Most Excellent, the podcast. To get your fix of all things true crime, paranormal,
strange and peculiar, check out our comedy podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever podcasts can be found.
And remember to be most excellent.
Hey, that's a nice t-shirt you got on there.
Oh, thanks, dude. It's brand new. Do you like that? It's one of the official What's Your Weird Story t-shirts.
Where'd you get that?
It's funny that you ask. I just got it off the brand new Spreadshirt.com site for the What's Your Weird Story podcast. There's no www. You just go straight to shop.spreadshirt.com/what's without the apostrophe WHATS hyphen YER WEIRD-STORY, and that'll take you right there.
I mean, you can never own enough clothing.
Well, it's true, Barry. There's t-shirts for the ladies because they're cut differently. There's hoodies, which are really cool. There's two different kinds of hoodies, and there's also tote bags, so you can tote your stuff.
That's so cool, man.
So if you guys go out to spreadshirt.com, What's Your Weird Story, currently there are 2 designs, but there will be more going up very soon. So just keep your eyes out for that. And if you decide to get one of our shirts, tag yourself on Instagram to ours or Facebook. Show your love. Show us what you got. Let's see your true colors.
So I've got this. Here's an article from EastedIdahoNews.com.
Okay.
And the title is First UFOs, Now Bigfoot. Idaho is among the top states for more paranormal sightings. And I guess in July, Idaho was named the top spot in the United States for sightings of unidentified flying objects. But it turns out UFOs aren't the only paranormal entity being spotted. According to the analysis, Idaho is one of the top places for Bigfoot sightings in the country, which I could see that. I mean, Idaho is pretty backcountry, part of the country. It's beautiful. Lots of woods, lots of mountains. It says that last month, UFO sightings, they determined if satellite internet equipment was being mistaken for UFOs. And it says it frequently is. But now there seems to be a lot of Sasquatch sightings, and there's actually a couple of pictures here, or at least one at the top, which is interesting, man. There's this thing that kind of looks like it's walking behind a tree, like you're looking at one of the legs as it's like lifted up, like walking behind a tree. It's really kind of interesting. I could see that. I mean, here in Oklahoma, man, we have a lot of sightings, especially in southeastern Oklahoma. Tons of sightings, because that's really wooded, mountainous terrain. Let's see here. It says that in North Idaho, Bonnard County appears to be the state's Sasquatch hotspot. 18 of Idaho's 93 sightings were reported there, including one from February of 2020, which a logger hears a long roaring howls on the same property. Large tracks had been discovered. Valley County has 13 of the state's reports, including one from November of 2018 on Tamarack Resort property. That's pretty cool, man.
That is cool, man. That makes sense. That's, like you said, that's a logical area that,
yeah,
to find,
yeah, yeah,
Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch type creatures.
Yeah, a lot of wide open, not wide open, but open country, Yeah. Just miles and miles of foliage and trees and mountains.
Okay, so here is a story from July 2020 out of Chicago, from the O'Hare Airport area. And there was a report from a employee who works, who's been part of the air traffic control team. Excuse me. And they had this. Well, here's the report. This is part of their report, at least. And I got this from UFOclearinghouse.wordpress.com. I was working late evening at TRACON, and which I'm sure that's some kind of air traffic control thing. Oh, that's probably what it is, traffic control. I don't know. I was working late one evening at TRACON, and I had just walked away for one of our mandatory breaks. These breaks help us rejuvenate and also help break up the monotony of what could be an otherwise tedious routine and help prevent us from falling asleep. That makes sense.
Yeah.
During these breaks, I usually go for a walk to help clear my head and a change of scenery. I was walking around one of the terminal buildings when I noticed some movement out of the corner of my eye, and for some unknown reason, I stopped and turned in the direction of the movement and noticed a large black shape coming to a rest on the ground near a light pole. This thing was 6-7 feet tall and jet black. It looked like a very big bat, but was also very human-like in appearance. I noticed that it sported a very large and impressive set of black membranous, I think that's how membranous wings that also looked like the wings of a bat. They were open to their full length and must have been at least 12 feet tip to tip. The arms on this thing were very long, very skinny, and ended in long talons. The legs on the being were comparable with the arms, so long and skinny. But I was unable. I was unable to really look at the feet to see what they were shaped like, if they were shaped similar to the hands. I stood there and saw this thing for about 30 seconds as it seemingly looked around on the ground. In the time I was looking, no fewer than 2 others had come down the sidewalk and also saw it. Okay, if it looked up, it would have clearly seen us all staring in bewilderment at it. It kept its head down, looking at the ground until an approaching service vehicle seemingly startled it, and it looked up. That is where I saw that its head was short and squat, but had a pair of piercing red eyes. It looked in the direction of the approaching vehicle and began to flap its wings and took off in the air. It disappeared over a building in the span of 2 or 3 seconds and was gone out of sight.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that one. Huh.
Yeah, that was a new one on me too, man.
Interesting.
But, you know, I mean, like, there have been just tons of sightings of, you know, of this type of creature.
Yeah.
That they're calling the Mothman.
Right.
But there's been tons of sightings of this type of creature there at O'Hare and in the O'Hare area.
Really?
This winged humanoid. Yeah.
That's
and
wild.
Just over the past several years.
Yeah, that's what I thought of first when you said that. When you talk about it's Mothman. Mm-hmm. That's what my mind went to. That's wild. Well, I mean, you know, it's such a high trafficked area that around there. Mm-hmm. So many flights are coming in and out. I'm sure that they pick up just a ton of interference on their radar. Birds and no telling, you know, other aircraft. And so in one way, I think it may be sort of easy maybe for something like that to get to that spot undetected. Yeah. So, because some people would say, well, how would that happen? How would they do that undetected? Well, I mean, if you have that much traffic going on, you know, there's certain things that you would sort of just overlook and take for, you know, just say, okay, well, that's not an airplane, so we're not going to pay. Because those guys are, especially those air traffic controllers, man, that is one of the highest stress jobs that you can have. Right. There's so much going on, and it's a constant. All you're doing is playing a game of timing the entire, you know, your entire shift. You're just putting the pieces of a puzzle together on the fly for, you know, however many 4 to 8 hours or however long that they work at a time. Yeah. So you're super stressed out, and then you've got other stuff that you're trying to you know, pay attention to and make sure that you're totally alert. So if that's what this guy does, I would imagine he's a pretty sharp or she is a pretty sharp individual, and so that maybe adds a little bit of credence to the story. It's interesting, man. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and I wonder, you know, you were saying how they probably, you know, they're trained to know what they're seeing on the radar. I wonder if it's possible that whatever this thing is flies under, like under the radar, literally, right. You know, underneath where it, you know, scopes out. Or if maybe it flies at a rate that is not detected on the radar. Maybe the radar only detects things that move at a certain rate.
True.
You know?
Right.
So that way it could rule out, you know, stuff like, you know, bats or birds or kites or whatever.
Yeah. All the garbage. Yeah. That's a cool story. I've never heard that. That is. Yeah. We were in the middle of COVID, I guess.
Okay, this is another Mothman story from O'Hare Airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
September, huh? Okay.
Yeah, September of this year. And this was reported by a 15-year veteran of the USPS. And this is what they saw. This is what they told. Also, apparently this also comes from a UFO clearinghouse. We're going to have to give them a shout out. I think I followed them on Twitter. Okay. And I think they're like an aggregate news kind of thing. Okay. They're so small, but they collect a lot of, you know, all these type stories. So the witness said, I had just left work at the USPS sorting facility at O'Hare Airport at about 11 p.m. on Thursday, the 24th of September, and was walking out to my car when I saw something standing at the far end of the parking lot where I usually park. At first, I thought it was a very tall person with a long coat. As I got closer to my car, I unlocked my car, which caused the headlights to flash and to come on. The headlights hit the person standing about 20 to 25 feet from my car, causing it to turn and look right at me. I saw that this was not some person, but some red-eyed creature. And what appeared to be a coat was actually wings, which it spread as it turned to look at me.
Wow.
At first, I thought it was some kind of very, very large bird, but I've never seen any bird that stood almost 7 feet tall. Damn. I'm 5'4", and this thing looked taller than me by at least 2 feet.
Wow.
This thing then started making some type of chirping sound, almost half a chirp and half a click, like someone was clicking their tongue, but much faster. It then made some type of screeching sound and took off running toward me. Oh, man.
Holy shit.
It got to within 10 feet of me and took off in the air and flew above me. Whew.
Wow.
That would be super scary, dude. I was screaming hysterically, understandably.
Yeah.
I was screaming hysterically as I crouched down behind the cars, opened the door, and dived into my car head first. I was in a near panic as I tried to start the car, close and lock the doors, and turn on my interior lights. I started my car and took off out of the parking lot and flew down the road till I hit the main road. I got home and told my husband, who also works at the same facility and was the one who told me about the sightings things. Oh, she had heard about it.
Okay.
I was scared shitless and hope I never see this thing again. This thing is roaming around the area, scaring people half to death.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Damn. Now that's an interaction.
Yeah.
The other one was kind of just sort of like, just observing it, until it took off. But that's some scary shit. That's wild.
Yeah,
this is the first time I'm hearing of this.
Yeah, I think I had heard this one before. I think I'd heard about this one or something similar. But like I said, they've had a lot of those.
Yeah.
Winged creature / Mothman sightings there in the O'Hare area, man.
That's crazy. We'll have to keep a tab on that. See kind of how that develops. That's cool. Really cool stuff.
Say, Barry.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest job you've ever had?
That's a good question. It would either have to be the time that I worked at a cattle feedlot or the time that I worked for a Greek painter.
Were you his model?
Not quite.
Well, it's funny because one of my weirdest jobs was being a model in art school, but it was portraits, not full body nude. The reason I'm asking is because those jobs may be kind of normal, but we know people are out there that have weirder jobs than that. Maybe you're a mortician. Maybe you're a scientist trying to bring back the dinosaurs or the woolly mammoth.
That'd be cool.
That would be really cool. If you guys out there have weird jobs, unusual jobs, crime scene photographer, maybe you worked at an adult educational film set, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. Just something that's unusual, out of the ordinary, and, a little bit weird. Hey, those are cool stories, too. We'd love to hear those. So give us a call or an email or whatever. You know how to get a hold of us. Be part of the community of Weirdsville. Here's another one from HuffPost. This is from October. We have discussed this story a little bit. We spoke at it more at length on our Patreon episode that will be out soon, the celebrity UFOs. But this is from October of this year, when Miley Cyrus says she was either chased down by a UFO or had too much weed wax.
Right.
So this kind of, again, this is another one that kind of hit the internet, and there were, Miley Cyrus. Of course, everybody knows Miley Cyrus. You may know her from as Hannah Montana from the Disney Channel, or as Miley Cyrus, Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter, or as Miley Cyrus, the kind of wild and rebellious pop star.
Yeah.
Who toured with the Flaming Lips as their backing band, Dead Pets, I think is what they were called, and my buddy Dan Deacon, of course. And really, she's trying to cut her own path and, trying to be her own person away from the Disney character that she portrayed in her youth. But so she came out in an interview and said that she had a close encounter with her and a friend after they were chased down by a UFO while they're traveling through Southern California. She said she's pretty sure that's what she saw, but they also had bought some weed wax from a guy in a van in front of a taco shop. So that's, her own rationale of it, but she described it as a flying snowplow. That's the best way she said she could describe it. It had this big plow on the front of it and was glowing yellow.
It's interesting.
So, she saw it flying, and her friend saw it too.
Yeah, it's just an interesting shape. Again, I don't think I've ever seen that. But now looking back, trying to think about like some sci-fi movies I've seen, there's been some spaceships that have kind of had that look, I guess, a little bit. But usually the sightings are more the traditional UFO, circular,
But that's the thing, though, is that there's a huge variety of craft that have been seen.
That's true. Right.
And she says she saw the occupant of the craft, something that was piloting it, and they made eye contact. They locked eyes. And so that was the thing. So, but you can go back in the 1800s. There was all these things that were described as flying cigars in the West,
right?
And the people would describe seeing these flying machines in the West that are cigars, cigar shaped. And of course, they could have been Zeppelins, but they might have, not, may have been of an earthly origin. Of course, the flying disc has become a very popular shape, discernible shape, since the 1950s, or when the pilots described it. And he wasn't even describing the actual vehicles that he saw, but he said it was flying across, flying like a saucer that was skipped across a lake top. Yeah. So I guess instead of skipping stones, they would skip saucers,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I guess like a Frisbee or something like that. Yeah. So that's where that flying saucer came from. And that's where, but that's all of a sudden, bam, there's this huge thing. So, yeah. But also, it's as far as if you're flying without worrying about atmosphere and the effect of atmosphere and wind and all that stuff, you can propel more than just forward. Yeah. In a controlled manner. Right. Then a flying ship, a disc would be really as good a shape as anything.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah. You go in any direction. Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely a cool story regardless. And just imagine if you were on that weed wax and you actually are seeing something like that. That would be a mind blower. The combination of the two would be a mind blower. So, again.
Miley said. Oh, so go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Miley said that she's like, what you saw was real. And that a couple other cars witnessed it too. And she said, quote, I was shaken for like 5 days. It fucked me up. I couldn't really look at the sky the same. I thought they might come back.
Wow.
And that was a quote from her. So should I try and do that in a Miley Cyrus voice?
Yeah. Sing it to us if you can.
I can't sing it, but
okay.
This is my best Miley Cyrus. So.
Okay.
I was shooken for like 5 days. It fucked me up. I couldn't really look at the sky the same. I thought they might come back.
That's fucking spot on, man. Spot on, dude.
Yeah, I used to. Yeah, sorry, Miley, if you're listening and that offends you. I tried not to do too terrible.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, man. What do they say? Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Most sincere, yes.
Sincerity.
Also, former Disney star Demi Lovato has apparently she has gotten really big into the teachings of Dr. Stephen Greer.
Okay.
And that she's into it, and she's out there proclaiming it and saying, I guess this is from a tweet that she made.
Okay.
It's like, quote, over the past several months, let me start again. Over the past couple of months, I have dug deep into the science of consciousness and experienced not only peace and serenity like I've never known, but I also have witnessed the most incredibly profound sightings, both in the sky as well as feet away from me.
Oh, man. Oh, Demi.
I don't really. She encourages her millions of followers. That sounded so.
Yeah.
So much like my grandma Lodima followers, millions of her followers to quote meditate and make contact end quote with aliens so that the governments would be forced to quote acknowledge the truth about extraterrestrial life amongst us or among us end quote. So yeah, I mean I'm on board with that for the most part, and
sure.
I also have to apologize. I really don't know how Demi Lovato sounds.
I think that's pretty close. That's pretty close,
but it could be it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, she's taking a stab at it. So
yeah, she's taking a stand. Both of them.
Yeah.
And they're both young stars, millennials.
Yep.
They are both very popular.
Very.
And
very influential.
That stuff. Very influential.
Yep.
So yeah, and one last thing. From TMZ.
Okay.
And this is from just came out today, but
okay.
Hollywood megastar, internationally known icon and hunk of a man, I'm told. No, he's a hunky guy.
Okay.
And not a great Batman, but actually, he was a decent Batman. He's not a good Bruce Wayne. Anyway, George Clooney.
Oh, Clooney. Okay, Clooney. Wow.
Has stated on the record he has been cutting his own hair for years.
Wow.
Using a Flowbee.
Wow, man. That dude, Flowbee stock just went through the roof, dude. Are you serious? That's fantastic. My dad will be so happy to hear this, man.
Yeah, your dad was
that is man. Great, man. Wow. That just goes to show you, man, you don't know where somebody is getting their due done at. You know what I mean? I mean, a hot guy like that using a Flowbee. Oh man.
Yeah, and it was only 4 easy payments of $9.99.
That is so great.
He got his money's worth.
Dude, think about all the $25 haircuts that you saved.
Dude. This is George Clooney we're talking about. George Clooney doesn't even pay $25 to get nose hairs trimmed.
You're right.
You can add a zero at least.
You're right.
$300 haircut.
True. That's very true.
But no, he is actually not. He is using
He's getting
the
a free haircut, dude.
And,
He's getting a free haircut.
Yeah, that's a smart and wise investment on his.
Beautiful. Well,
I hope that's true because he has pretty much when you don't see him like in character or whatever.
Yeah,
he's pretty much had that same kind of haircut for years.
It's got. And now that you say it, it's got that Flowbee kind of a feel to it. You know,
he's such a super handsome man.
Oh, he's beautiful.
That Flowbee cut.
Oh yeah.
And this could be said the same about Kurt, about your dad.
That's true. That's true.
If you are super handsome, you can totally get away with Flowbee cut.
That's true.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Wow, that really does blow my mind in the best way. Well, we learned something here today, folks. George Clooney is at the hands of the Flowbee master.
Beautiful thing. So there's hope for everybody, I guess. I don't know.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to the What's Your Weird Story podcast. You probably knew that already because you're listening or downloaded to the episode off of your iTunes or your Spotify or whatever place you get your podcast from. We want to thank you for listening. We also want to remind you to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, make sure that you get your new podcast episode every week. We'd also like to ask you to rate and review so that we can grow our audience and we can have more friends, we can have more stories. So thanks for listening to What's Your Weird Story.
Just the beginning. I mean, we've got a whole other podcast with more weird stories, but this is a good start. And 2020 was just a weird year, even if you take all of the other stuff that went along with it. The ghost stories, the UFO sightings, all the weirdness that we got. And I think one of the weirder stories, is the Japanese robo-wolf scarecrow thing, man. I mean, that... Yeah. I leave it to the Japanese to come up with an inventive way to scare creatures, Yeah,
we'll have to post some... images of that on the Instagram and the social media stuff, because those are really cool, weird looking things. Yeah. And also, but also in Japan, what about that weird UFO thing? The one that looked kind of balloony and kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. It is odd. And there's been even more around the world that were reported that kind of have a similar thing. So, it doesn't surprise me.
Yep.
And cool. And it's a cool story,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, in France, we got the horse mutilations, which is, odd. To say the least.
Yeah, it's, because, again, we've heard lots of stories about that happening here in the American Southwest for decades, out on big ranches and stuff with cattle mutilations, and of course, again, the associating those with some kind of satanic ritual, but also the weird thing to me about it was, some kind of like TikTok challenge or something like that, which would be really bizarre, but I would think that if it was somebody was doing that on social media, mutilating animals, or, they would be able to find them rather quickly. Yeah.
You'd think.
You would think. But yeah, man. And then, of course, we got more alien stuff with the Miley Cyrus telling her alien stories, and Demi Lovato, and a lot of obviously a lot of UFO and alien stories this year, but some of the more famous people throwing their hat in beyond Tom DeLonge and saying, hey, I've seen things.
Yeah, well, and since we did that story, I had mentioned in the story that I thought it was weird that it was her explanation of what she saw. It looked like a plow. Mm-hmm. And since then, there has been pictures that came out that were released about the odd UFO or UAP that they saw that was hovering 35,000 feet or so, that has a weird shape to it. To me, it looks almost like a bat, but could be, if it were pointed in the right direction, could look like a plow. And so that was interesting. I was like, wow, well, maybe, because I'd never heard or seen of anything that looked like that being expressed in any of the stories. It is an interesting looking piece of technology, whatever it is. So interesting, though. Really interesting.
And of course, we got some classic Mothman stories there from the Chicagoland area. Yeah,
which was news to me. I didn't pay any attention to that, so that was cool to get into.
Well, I think they kind of flew under the radar. Mm-hmm. Pun intended there.
As with most of these stories.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I mean, there had been, I had heard stories before about something being, in the past year or two, about this winged creature being seen near the Chicago, I think it was O'Hare Airport. Yeah. And of course, we got these two stories here from this year, man. And, it's wild stuff, I mean, if it's the same creature as the Mothman, the Mothman, at least from, the original one in Point Pleasant, was often described as a harbinger of bad things. Of course, with the bridge that collapsed there just months after the original popped up. But, we haven't seen that I know of anything that's happened there around a big tragedy there. Like of similar nature there near the airport. So hopefully that won't happen. I hope that was coincidental the first time, but
definitely.
Let's hope for the best on that. So
definitely all kinds of great stuff, man.
Yeah.
And
but obviously the biggest and most shocking story of this section of the podcast of this episode for the News Roundup is the revelation of the one Mr. George Clooney.
That's right. That was
a Flowbee.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. My dad will be so happy to hear that one of the most handsome men in this country cuts his hair with a Flowbee. That's awesome, man. That's great, man.
You really probably couldn't get a better endorsement for that.
I'm sure their sales have gone through the roof.
Yeah. If not, they definitely need to market that, have him, up there, but that's
absolutely, man.
It's funny. And if we're, even if it's a joke story, maybe he was joking about, it's still hilarious. It's still
great.
Funny.
It's great. It's great.
Nice thing to lighten it up. So
absolutely. Well, I hope everyone has a great new year. And I hope everyone has a great year to come, a new year that we can start from scratch, and it'll be better for everyone.
Yeah. So be safe out there when you're doing your New Year's celebrations. And, as we always want you to be safe and be weird. And it'll be an interesting New Year's Eve as well because, it's not going to we're not going to have the mass gatherings and parties. And if you do go to a party, man, just be safe, try to do your best to social distance,
be careful. Be careful.
All we can say is, we love you, Weirdsville. We really appreciate the support that we get from you guys. Our little community is very amazing, and that you keep showing up and listening to us and our guests tell these amazing stories and hearing us babble on. And make, some jokes and wisecracks and ask the questions that we hope that you would ask, but
Yeah.
But that you've done this podcast certainly has been one of the main important things for me keeping normalcy this year.
Yeah.
And one of the highlights of this year is the amazing stories that we've heard and amazing guests that we've had from people like Dave and but also from old friends and all our new friends.
That's right.
And and we just really want to again take the time to thank you all for listening and for supporting and sharing your stories and sharing the podcast. And that's the one thing that we'd like to ask as a New Year's resolution for you to share the podcast with maybe just 2 or 3 people each month.
That's right.
I mean, if we can get us to grow just a little bit at a time with all the numbers that we've got, and that would be great, that means the more people listening means the more people that are going to come and join us and share their stories, and it's just that's what it's all about. So
that's right. Yeah, come on and share your stories if you can. Yeah. We'd love to have you on. You guys are what make this thing so great, and you've given us so much great stuff. Over the past couple of years, you've given us great content to get into, and just we look forward to another year of conquering and having fun with one another and enjoying our time together.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again. And 2020, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Sayonara.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year's.
We will see you in 2021. It's going to be better. It's got to be. And until then, until next year, be safe.
Be weird.
As always, if you have a weird story, we want to hear it.
If you have a lot of them, we want to hear them all.
We can't do this podcast without your invaluable contributions.
Whether it's sharing your stories,
listening,
rating,
and spreading the word about the podcast. Thanks for listening. Until next time, be safe.
Be weird.
The stories presented on the What's Your Weird Story podcast are, to our knowledge, true experiences that our guests have had. We can't take the time to research all claims made, and besides, it's just not as fun.